When Arrow started back in 2012, no one knew if the superhero series would be successful, but after almost 7 seasons, Arrow's importance to TV is undeniable. The show ushered in a tidal wave of superhero series and launched its very own multiverse in the CW. Now with The Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow, as well as a Batwoman series most likely coming soon, the Arrowverse makes up one of the most complex and sprawling shared universes on TV. Given how many stories the different series in the Arrowverse tell, and the abundant Easter eggs that appear in different episodes, it's no surprise that theories about the upcoming plotlines, what will happen to various characters, and the connections between the shows are everywhere. Yet some of these theories make a lot more sense than others. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the most plausible Arrowverse theories. Many fan theories center around how other shows could cross over with or become part of the Arrowverse. After all, the 4 shows that currently make up the CW's shared universe aren't the only shows based on DC Comics on TV. Fans speculated that this could mean that the recently launched DC Universe show Titans is part of the Arrowverse. It's a theory that some have extended to all new up-and-coming DC Universe series, which also include Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, and Stargirl. With its world of metahumans, Titans is a natural fit for the Arrowverse. Plus, it features Dick Grayson, aka Batman's former sidekick Robin, as one of its main characters. With Batwoman now a part of the Arrowverse, the connection would make a lot of sense. However, according to Mark Pedowitz, the president of the CW, there aren't any plans for a crossover between the Arrowverse and the DC universe. On the other hand, Mark Guggenheim, a consulting producer on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, seemed open to the possibility, saying, "Never say never." So it may be a long shot, but Titans could become part of the Arrowverse at some point in the future. Another theory proposes that Fox's Young Batman series Gotham is a prequel to Supergirl. There's a certain logic to the idea. The Arrowverse has gotten a lot of mileage out of the introduction of the multiverse, giving it a large number of parallel Earths to play with within its stories. So while the Gotham that Green Arrow, Supergirl, and The Flash visited during the 2018 crossover event, Elseworlds, was located on Earth 1, Supergirl's home base is on Earth 38, and she's mentioned that her cousin Superman has worked with Batman before. The Earth 1 Batman has disappeared, leaving an opening for the introduction of Batwoman, but the Earth 38 Batman could still be operating as a hero. Also, many of the characters in Gotham have also appeared in the Arrowverse. Though, because the characters are played by different actors, they look entirely different. This again points to the idea that Gotham takes place on a different Earth than Arrow, The Flash, and Legends, just like Supergirl does. Which means the events of Gotham could run parallel to when Kara was young and still discovering her superpowers. Since the 2 series are on different networks and since Gotham is coming to an end with its 5th season, there is little chance of this theory being confirmed one way or another. Still, it's a fun possibility to consider. Speaking of the Arrowverse's parallel Earths, this next theory uses the idea to suggest that Black Lightning, the CW's 5th superhero show based on DC Comics, takes place on Supergirl's Earth 38. Since it began, producers have emphasized that Black Lightning is not part of the Arrowverse, but fans have taken the opportunity to figure out a way to make Black Lightning fit into the Arrowverse anyway. Most fans agree that Black Lightning must be happening on an Earth different from the ones where the Arrowverse shows take place. However, the characters on Black Lightning have also referenced Arrowverse characters like Supergirl and Vixen. That's led some fans to theorize that Black Lightning is taking place on Earth 38. This could certainly be a possibility. After all, in the world of Black Lightning, superheroes have been around for at least 20 years, a fact that's also true in Supergirl's world. This next theory involves a crossover, but not with a DC Comics based show. Instead, the crossover would happen with the Arrowverse's fellow CW show, Supernatural. The theory came about when fans noticed the friendship between Arrow's Stephen Amell and Supernatural's Jensen Ackles and Jaron Padalecki. And Amell, Green Arrow himself, has pushed for the crossover to happen for years. Unfortunately, Supernatural showrunner Andrew Dabb has dashed the hopes of fans everywhere by saying last year that he doesn't believe a Supernatural/Arrow crossover would work. Why? Well, quote, "Mixing genres in crossovers doesn't work that well." On the other hand, over its 14 seasons, Supernatural has done its fair share of genre experimentation, most recently going fully animated for a Scooby-Doo crossover. Yet, with Arrow coming to an end after its 8th season, there isn't much time left to make this theory a reality. One of the most popular Arrowverse theories out there is that Arrow's John Diggle will become a Green Lantern. Up until now, Diggle's alter ego on the series has been that of Spartan. He's also taken up the mantle of Green Arrow once or twice. However, the theory holds that Diggle's middle name is actually Stewart, making him Earth 1's John Stewart, one of DC Comics' Green Lanterns. The Arrowverse writers teased this theory during Elseworlds when Barry Allen from Earth 90 showed up and asked Diggle where his ring was. The reference was to the lantern ring that the Earth 90 version of Diggle possesses. Many fans took this as confirmation that Diggle of Earth 1 could become a Green Lantern too. So what does the actor who plays Diggle think about the possibility? In an interview, David Ramsey admitted that there'd been discussions about his character becoming Green Lantern since season 1, and he loves the idea of playing the superhero. But he also mentioned that he's proud of the fact that in John Diggle, Arrow created an original character that has since become part of the comics. Still, fans are hoping this theory will come true when Arrowverse's next crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths, happens. At that point, the team will need all the help they can get. This next theory proposes that sometime in the future, Barry Allen starts the Time Masters, the group responsible for monitoring the timeline. Rip Hunter, the man who recruited the Legends of Tomorrow, was part of the organization, so the theory builds on a connection between the Flash and the Legends. Early in The Flash, fans learned that it was Barry who created Gideon, the artificial intelligence system that can monitor time and any changes that occur to it. Gideon is housed in the Time Vault at Star Labs, but could also be the one that helps the Legends on their ship, the Wave Rider. This would create a direct link between Allen and one of the Time Masters' ships. Also, with Barry's history of altering the past in Flashpoint and the irreversible consequences that went with it, Barry's become sensitive to the need to be careful with time travel. So it's completely plausible that at some point in the future, Barry decides to found the Time Masters to ensure that no one compromises the timeline the way he did ever again. Lena Luthor, sister of the infamous Superman villain Lex Luthor, was introduced during Supergirl's second season. Since then, she's become one of Kara's closest friends and a frequent ally to Supergirl, even if she and the hero don't always see eye to eye. Despite that, fans have wondered when Lena will finally live up to the Luthor name and become evil. This season, Lena seems closer to the edge than ever before. She's been using her resources to perform questionable experiments, which have included human trials that led to the demise of one test subject already. Plus, with the return of Lex, Lena could finally cross the line. Supergirl's showrunner has said in the past that Lena is a ticking time bomb, so it may be a matter of when, not if, this theory comes true. With so many superheroes occupying the same multiverse and the Arrowverse characters regularly crossing over into each other's shows, there's no wonder that there's been so much speculation about the formation of a new Justice League. Now that both Superman and Batwoman are part of the Arrowverse, this theory is even more plausible. Because of the recent movie version of the Justice League, the name probably wouldn't be used for an Arrowverse version of the superhero team-up. However, the Justice League's roster of superheroes has changed and evolved since the start, so a new league made up of Arrowverse heroes would be in keeping up with that tradition. Besides, Smallville formed its own Justice League whenever it was still on the air. With an ever-expanding number of superheroes, it seems like only a matter of time before the Arrowverse heroes do the same. The current seasons of the Arrowverse series aren't even over yet, but fans are already speculating about what could happen in the next Arrowverse crossover, the highly anticipated Crisis on Infinite Earths. In the crossover, the whole multiverse is being threatened, which has led fans to speculate that this could lead to the return of some beloved characters we haven't seen for a while. Past Arrowverse crossovers have been massive undertakings, but Crisis on Infinite Earths is expected to be even bigger and better. Incorporating old fan favorites like Malcolm Marlin and Deathstroke would make the next crossover even more special, and including a legion of returning characters to help in the fight would emphasize just how much danger the multiverse is facing. In addition, the crossover is likely to happen around the time Arrow will be wrapping up with its Season 8, which will only consist of 10 episodes. Having heroes and villains from Oliver Queen's past return for one of its final fights would be a fitting tribute to the end of the series that started it all. This next theory hinges on the end of Arrow as well. It proposes that Oliver Queen won't make it to the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and will instead sacrifice himself to save his friends in the multiverse. A version of this theory has been floating around ever since Elseworlds. In that crossover, Oliver learned that Kara and Barry would meet their end while attempting to save the world. So he made a deal with the Monitor to save their lives. The thing is, we never learned what Oliver had traded in exchange for his friends. But the high-stakes nature of the bargain points to Oliver sacrificing something pretty significant, and many fans believe it's his own life. Of course, the Monitor hasn't come to collect yet, but many believe that it will happen during Crisis on Infinite Earths. It would be a heartbreaking but appropriate end for both the show and Oliver Queen's character arc, and would up the highest stakes during the biggest crossover in Arrowverse history. This season, Arrow has included flash forwards to Star City in 2040. Many of the main characters are either included in those scenes or referenced one way or another, with the glaring exception of Oliver Queen. Did he meet his fate years ago, or is he simply missing? So far, we don't know, but it doesn't bode well for his future as Arrow comes to an end. On the other hand, after the news about the end of Arrow coming out, Stephen Amell commented, quote, "Something tells me even when I'm done, I won't be gone." That could mean that Oliver might not meet his demise when the show ends after all. Given that multiple Earths and time travel are a fact of life in the Arrowverse, it may be more likely that if we see Oliver again, it will be as another version of the character from a different Earth. With so many possibilities, no one ever seems to truly be gone from the Arrowverse. There are many more theories about the Arrowverse, but these were the ones that made the most sense to us. Do you agree? Or are there other theories that you think are more plausible? Share your ideas in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to The Binger for more great content like this. Thanks for watching.